How about there?
Derek, how are you, my friend?
Good, man. How about you?
Oh, fantastic. Good to see you
Oh,
again.
yeah, good to see you too, man.
Always a pleasure. You always bring something out that is just absolutely incredible. And I think this album is, yeah, it's just what a Babylon AD fan from many years ago would I'm blown away. I don't know what to
Really?
say.
Right on.
Um,
That's cool.
I, I must admit though, I'd love to talk about some of the songs because there's some crackers, but I have to tell you in a minute, after playing it for a month, Face of God is just my absolute favorite.
Wow, I'm not gonna say you're about thee because it seems like everybody says the same thing, man.
Ah,
Everybody's saying the same thing. They're like, wow, this song really touches me and really does something, man. I can't stop listening to it, that kind of stuff, you know?
yeah, it's just it sounds like a song. It's got that connection. It sounds like a song you've heard before. It sounds like something that's been inside of you
Yeah.
before, and the refrain and the sort of wording and the lyrics and the just it's a perfect song. I mean,
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it didn't take a lot of time to write that song either. It was just kind of like sitting on a chair and I had the riff and I was watching TV and I just said to myself, the face of God's in everyone. I went, oh, I got a song, and then I just started working on it from there.
yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, the way the album starts is fantastic with the sort of like bass and drums that introduce Wrecking Machine, which is a huge song. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Which I
Yeah.
understand came from a riff by John.
What, I'm sorry, what was that?
I understand John came up with that riff.
Yeah. So that came about where John came over to my house and he goes, I got a song, man, that I want you to hear, but I don't know how we're going to hear it because it's on an old cassette tape, And we don't have no cassette decks. And I said, well, I said, maybe I could borrow one or find one or something to look on eBay. And I was at my cousin's house the very next day, and he said, and I mentioned it to him. He goes, "Oh, I got an old cassette deck," and he had one up in his attic. So he got it down. I cleaned it all up, and John brought the tape over, and I put it in. I went, "Wow, this is cool. This is a cool riff." And then he told me the backstory of it that him and Leonard Hayes had been working on the song before Leonard Hayes passed away.
Yeah.
It was basically a jam of them kind of jamming in the studio, but you could tell the riff was there. You could tell that there was something there. So I just took it and ran with it, and made it into a song.
Yeah, it's a fantastic way to start, and it's also I thought when I listened to it for the first time, it's a great way to introduce the two new guys as well because it sort of like
Yeah,
starts off with that bass and drums, which
yeah, yeah. I kind of think that subconsciously, didn't mean to do that, but it seemed like it worked out for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, let's introduce these two guys. The drummer starts, and then the bass player comes in. It's like, hey, here's our two new guys too. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, everyone who I've played that song to has absolutely loved it,
All
and
right.
even people, young people, I've been playing it
Oh,
to
I know.
kids
Yeah,
like
yeah,
15, 20, and they've been going. I mean, they like their classics, they like their Zeppelin, they like their Sabbath,
yeah,
they like all that kind of stuff. But kids who would not probably have heard too much of that 80s scene, which
yeah. It's kind of strange that you say that because my son called me the other day, and he's like 28, and he called me. He said, "Dad," he goes, "when did you put that song out?" I go, "What song?" He goes, "Record Machine." He goes, "That song, Record Machine." I go, "I put it out there about 3 weeks ago, Brandon." He goes, "Well, why didn't you tell me?" I go, Why do I, because he listens to rap. So I said,
yeah,
"Why should I tell you?" He goes, "Because everyone in my office is talking about it, man." And they're all his age. And then my other son said him and his girlfriend, they sent me a note, said, "Man, this song's great. We love this song." And I said, "Well, that's pretty cool." They're like 22, 23.
yeah.
So
It's great. It's crazy good
also,
album and so varied as well. I mean, I think that's one of the things I love about it. I mean,
mhm.
some of the songs that you wrote, some of the lyrics are quite seem very personal. So probably more so than in the past.
Yeah, I think so. I've just grown a lot, so I've got more stuff. Oops, sorry, Matt. More stuff to write about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so hold on a second. Let me get rid of that. There you go. Yeah, I mean, you live your life and you have more stories to tell, you know, and lyrics come a little bit easier than they used to in the old days, you know. Now I could write lyrics pretty fast, you know. I don't labor over them too much, you know. I'll go back the next day and refine them. You know, I know what I want to say, you know, like Rome wasn't built in a day. I know what I want to say, but you know, it takes maybe a couple days to where I keep drilling down on the lyrics through them until it's like what I think is, you know, what I would say is about as best as I could do. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Sometimes Love is Hell is one of the tracks that I kept coming back to as well, which I think is something,
Mhm.
I guess, lyrically we can all relate to. That
Yeah,
it's, I guess, about relationships and maybe about a particular one. But
absolutely.
when you hear a track like "I'll Never Break Again," that
Mhm.
sort of like takes that and brings it to a whole new level. I mean, that's an epic. That's a huge song.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I read a couple of reviews lately and they mentioned that song, and whoever reviewing it obviously didn't listen to the song that well because they didn't like it, you know. And I'm thinking, and that's to me, Face of God is my favorite track, and that's my second favorite track,
Yeah,
you know. And I know maybe it's long, you know, before it gets to the big giant heavy guitars, but I mean, I think of it like a Led Zeppelin song or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like the classic 70s style of music. There was no, and also whoever was reviewing it said the song's too long. It's like 6 minutes long. It's like, man, I remember in the 70s songs were 8 minutes long. It didn't matter. You know, you're trying to tell a story, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And however long it goes, that's how long it goes,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I thought it was 7 minutes long, but there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that song just because it has all the acoustics and it has the
Yeah,
string arrangements and the
but
violins and the cellos and all that stuff. It's something we stepped out of our box just a little bit, but it still has a ripping lead, you know, like a Michael Schenker lead towards the end.
yeah,
You know,
the
it's got some
orchestration.
background vocals like a Pink Floyd thing. You know, I think it's the most creative song on the album. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, the orchestration and the more I listen to it, the more I love it. It's like one of those songs. First time
Yeah, I think it's one of those songs too. I think it's one of those songs that the first time you hear it, it's so because it's long, you got to really listen to it like two or three times before you start noticing everything and really paying attention to the lyrics and getting the whole gist of it, you know. And then I think once you do, you're kind of hooked, you know.
yeah, the orchestration's fantastic. I take it that was you in the
Yeah,
studio putting all
yeah.
that together. Yeah.
Uh, I mean,
I just can't wait for May the 17th and people to hear the whole thing because it's
yeah,
it's something I've been loving for, well, I think since early April when I got a copy. It was
yeah,
fantastic. I was actually talking to Ron, chatting a little bit as well while you were actually recording the album as well. So it was
uh-huh,
interesting to now finally catch up with you and Ron and hear your perspectives about something. It's been
yeah.
six years since Revelation Highway, and of course we had the wonderful live album Live Lightning uh, after that. But I don't know what was the magic. I can't understand how we got a great album in Revelation Highway, but now we've got what I consider a classic 6 years later. What was it? Just the perfect storm? Everyone bringing in great ideas?
Uh, I kind of think so. You know, the whole COVID thing kind of threw everybody off their game. We had I Will Never Break Again already demoed
Yeah,
like 2017, 2018, right
and
whenever
yeah,
Revelation Highway was out. Yeah.
and you're playing Looking for a Heartbeat as well for a while.
Yeah, and we've been playing Looking for a Heartbeat for 5 years.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So there was three songs I think that we'd already had demoed, and Looking for a Heartbeat we were already playing live, just kind of testing it out, see what people thought, and everybody was like, "Wow, this is a great song." You know, we hear that, so it was like, "Well, that one's going to go on the album for sure." You know, and then COVID hit, so everybody kind of went their separate ways for a little while. Uh, you know, I did a blues album, I did a soul album. You know, I did a bunch of singles and stuff like that. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking to myself, well, when, you know, Babylon A.D.'s got to come back pretty soon. You know what I mean? I just didn't know when. You know, so I just did a lot of different experimentations with different types of music and stuff like that. And then when Tom Mathers, from the president of Paris Records, hit me up about a year and a half ago and said, you know, asked me if I had any demos or live stuff, or if we were writing or what was going on. I said, we did have some live stuff, and I think I had did an interview maybe with you about that one, how
Yeah.
that one came about. So this was kind of like a perfect way. That was pretty much a perfect way to reintroduce the band, from our slumber of the 6 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the same time, so I had a bunch of songs that I'd already written, like Rome Wasn't Built in a Day, Sometimes Love Is Hell. I was working on at the time. Uh, at the same time we released the live album. So we started practicing, we started writing, and we started getting all the best of what we thought were the best tunes. I think we had, maybe 20 songs, 18, 19, 20 songs to choose from, and we let a lot of different people that we trust in our inner circle listen to the songs and rate them from like 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And so there's a few songs that are left off the album because they didn't even hit a 7, So it was like, if you don't hit at least a 7, you're out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was a couple songs that we left off the album that were like 10s.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, since we have those 10s, let's keep those for the next album. So we had to do a lot of soul searching about what songs exactly we were going to put out, because I thought that all the songs that we demoed were worthy of to be put on a record. You know what I mean? Some of them, the production wasn't that great because they were just like us jamming and me singing, that kind of stuff. But other songs were just me demoing, or maybe on acoustic, or and some were the full band. You know what I mean? So
I mean, your songs are pretty diverse on there as well. I mean, stuff like White Hot Bullet. I must admit, first time I heard that, I wasn't sure. And then second play, third play, fourth play, yeah, I got it. It was fantastic. How old was that one?
Well, actually, I wrote that one about the same time we were doing Revelation Highway. I kind of thought it was going to go on that. That was a demo I demoed it for the band, and we thought it was probably going to go on there. And for some reason, we counted up the songs, and it was just like, well, that's not going to go on there. Maybe it'll go on another record. So it just sat in my studio for, another 4 or 5 years. And then I remember that I had that song, and I talked to the band. They said, oh, because we'd practice it. We jammed it, as a band, and we started getting it kind of tight. I'm talking like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when we were doing Revelation Highway. And so I said, what about that song, White Hot Bullet? And they go, oh, yeah, that was a pretty cool riff, So I dug it out and kind of polished it up, finished it off a little bit, and then gave it to the band, and then we reworked it and, put it on the record.
Okay, like everything on there. I mean, it came out great. And you end in a really fun way as well. Super Beast. I love that. Like, there's not many instrumentals. Normally I think it's fillers, but when I heard that, I thought, no, that's so much fun.
Yeah, that was just an idea that Ron had, and it was basically last minute. Ron just said, hey man, let's put an instrumental on the record. And I was kind of like, instrumental, I don't know, you know what I mean? But then he played the riff, and I went, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then John jumped in and started playing, and I think they wrote that song musically while I was sitting there, probably about an hour. And I just said, well, let's just record it. We had the recording studio set up, the demo recording studio at Ron's house. I said, let's just record it and see what happens. You guys just jam, just do whatever. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much how it went about. Even when we went to the recording studio to record the drums in Oakland, Dylan was like, can you play back the demo tape again so I can remember how this song even goes? And then when the guys put their guitars and basses down to it, they had to follow Dylan wherever he went, because there was no structure really to it. It was just a jam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's cool. I spoke to Dylan the other day. He's a lovely guy, and
Dylan's great, man.
So excited about the record, and so excited that all this has happened to him.
He's a good boost, a good shot in the arm, man, that we needed, man. We really needed him.
Yeah, he's so different in style though to Jamie as well. So it comes.
He's a lot of influences. He's got a lot of influences, and he's not just a drummer. He writes songs. He plays guitar really well. So he sings. So he's got a lot of talent. I could see him going really, really far.
Yeah,
really far.
And he's got that whole youthful enthusiasm about him as well. That I think.
Yeah, he's excited. He's like we were when we were 23.
Exactly. And I guess with him as well came along Craig, who
Craig, yeah.
seems to have
Mhm.
fitted in pretty well as well.
Yeah, it was kind of strange because it was me, Ron, and John talked about who we gonna get, because Jamie had quit the band
Hmm.
and Rob was he couldn't play anymore for a medical condition, and Eric passed away, of course.
Yeah.
So but between the three of us, Ron said, "Man, I got a kid that's great." He talked up Dylan about us. He said, and he also comes with with a bass player, Craig, and I've been jamming with those guys. We've been putting stuff together. He goes, but they're really good, man. They're really tight rhythm section. So me and John kind of looked at him like, okay, well, let's check it out, and we went to practice, and we thought they were going to learn like 3 songs, maybe like Hammer Swings Down, Bangle the Bells, Kid Goes Wild, or something like that, and then do an audition for us, right? Man, they had about 10 songs down, and they were down. It was like we could play the next day. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Well, we're like, holy smokes, man, you guys did your homework. And Dylan was like, well, I've been playing you guys since I was like 10 or something. I was like, wow. So that was pretty cool, man. It was real easy. It wasn't like we had to go look for anybody or anything. It just fell right in our lap, man. Because
Yeah.
Ron had contact with those guys, and it was really cool, man.
It fits really well. I love the double kick bass drum
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
that he's like Leonard Hayes, man. He's got
Yeah.
that thunderfoot, man. He's just fast on that foot. Just it's incredible. And when we play live, sometimes I'll just turn around and look at him, and all of a sudden, brrr, like a machine gun. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And it fits beautifully. I mean, everything from Wrecking Machine on, like you once you hear Wrecking Machine, you hear that drum sound come in. The rest of the album, it just fits. It's like, I
Yeah.
mean, there's some songs on there, I think, like Looking for a Heartbeat, that sound like traditional Babylon A.D.
Uh,
There's stuff that sees you pushing the envelope, which I think, like Wrecking Machine, the fact that it sort of, just when you think it finishes, it carries on and stuff like that.
yeah.
And then there's the epics that I think people are going to come back to. People need to hear about this record, and I think when May the 17th hits, it could be the biggest thing for years for you guys. I'm hoping, and
Hey, that'd be
I'm
great, man.
I'm hoping that
Get me
you
up on that deal. I'm ready.
I'm hoping that you get out. I mean, you've got a few dates set up already.
Yeah, and more are coming through right now every day. I've been on the phone, and my manager's been on the phone. Now we're starting to get to where we're trying to find out places where we can find dates in the middle of the month. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff,
Yeah,
because everything's getting taken up, and we don't want to go to Texas and then go all the way back to Washington and then go to Florida. We're trying to line stuff up so that it meets,
yeah.
a way that we can actually do it without killing ourselves.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, got to get that balance. So what else have you been up to? I mean, the 6 years you mentioned, I've loved the blues album. I still play that. I found myself, I think the week before I got the new Babylon album, I was playing Resonator Blues again, which
Oh yeah, yeah.
it,
Resonator Blues. Yeah, it's a good album. I just did a video for Penitentiary Bound. You want one
oh
of the
wow,
songs
yeah,
like last week, and it was just off the blue. I was on my computer, and I just hit iTunes, and all of a sudden it popped up, and I went, man, this was a pretty damn good song. I wonder why I never did anything with it. And I said, okay, I'm gonna make a video real quick, and it took me about an hour to make a lyric video, and I just threw it out there. Just because I like the song, and I'm thinking, and my cousin's always telling me, him and his wife listen to that song all the time. They love it.
yeah,
They love it. And I'm like, well, this is for my cousin Ricky then. I put that together. But I had a little project. I had that soul project going for a while, the
yeah.
Revolutionary Souls, and it was a really, really super tight, great band. And we recorded probably 7 songs that I have. And I keep
Okay,
thinking, man, I want to release that because, I mean, the recordings and the songs are really, really cool, man. It's like Sly and the Family Stone stuff. You know what
yeah,
I
a
mean?
little bit, yeah,
And it's just timing, man. I just got to get around to it. You know what I mean? They're sitting there on my recorder, and I think about them about every 2 days. Like, man, I got to get in the studio and work on those songs. But you only have so much time, man. I'm working
yeah.
on the Babylon A.D. stuff too, and I'm working on new songs for the next album, Babylon A.D. And I'm working with Danny De La Rosa, guitar player for
Oh,
Babylon
cool.
A.D. on a project that he's got.
Yeah,
So I'm pretty spread thin here, man. I'm even though I have a lot of ideas and a lot of stuff I want to do,
yeah.
it's not enough time in the day. You know what I
We
mean?
got to catch up for those 2 lost years as well, and hopefully I'll get out on the road again and catch up with you.
Yeah, man, that would be great. Yeah.
Hopefully a few festivals and stuff like that
I
along the
think we're
way.
going to be over in Europe. I think we're going to be over in Europe next year we have a handful of dates over there already
Oh,
booked and
cool.
stuff like that. You know,
Well, yeah,
haven't heard
well,
exact
let me
details. I know they're in England and somewhere around the UK, but I can't remember.
let me know when, because I'll probably make
Yeah,
it over for that.
I think that's in September, but it's kind of weird. They book those big festivals a year out, year
Yeah,
and a half out, you
yeah,
know?
absolutely. Yeah, cool. It was always fantastic to speak to you. I
Yeah, man.
can't wait for the album to hit and happen.
Yep. We're gonna
Any
be releasing you've seen the video, The Record Machine, then, of course,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think Rome's the title track's the next one, isn't it?
that's right. And it'll be released Friday night.
Yeah, looking forward to
Yeah.
that. So we'll stick that up on the website as well.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you.
Mate,
That's cool.
anything I can do to support this album is fantastic. So I'm trying to talk to everyone. So I've
Right
already
on, man.
spoken to you now. I've got Ron and Dylan. I'm going to speak to John next, I think. I just think this is such a fine album that I just wanted to speak to everyone who was involved in putting
Yeah.
it together.
Right
And
on. I appreciate that, man. That's really good. That's really cool.
no worries. Thank you, Derek. Thanks for your time. You're
Okay, brother.
always great to speak to you, and we'll
Yep.
catch up on
Talk
the
to you
road,
too,
I'm
man.
sure, sometime soon.